everybody. My name's Craig.
I'm Brian.
I'm Burke.
And I'm Michelle.
And this is Get Dunked On, the podcast.
We like sports. We don't care who knows.
I knew you were going to take that.
As soon as you said it, I was like, excellent.
I knew you were going to take that. I was hoping there'd be something else like you do.
Well, I did before this have an obscure 80s reference song, but then I realized right as you said that, of course. But as soon as you started singing that, I was like, yeah, I'm going to go with that. Oh well.
So guys, I have a kind of a funny work story this week that who knows if I can tell or not tell. I don't know. Probably not many people at work listen, so I don't give a fuck. Yep. And so anyway, so I was I'll just remove names and stuff. So I was talking to one of the ladies in the office, and I do work for an IT company, so let's be honest, there's not that many. So I'm sitting there talking to one of the accountants in the office, and we're just talking, going back and forth, and the receptionist walks by and goes and asks the other girl in the office that I'm talking to. She goes, "Are you excited about Friday?" And I immediately go, "What's happening Friday?" And,
sure.
You know, they get this like giddy little girly smile on their face, and you know, like, and you're like, I'm like, they have a crush on someone, like, but what's going on? And they go, "It's the firefighters' chili cook-off." And so
what?
I have no clue. That's what they said. And of course, apparently all of the firefighters in Denver do this chili cook-off, and they're all hot, apparently. Yes. So I'm sitting there, and of course I just you know me, I just go, "Oh my God, are you serious?" And both
you join in.
Yeah, and I'm like, why did I not get to the invite? I'm upset. And like I start like putting on the water. It's like, how dare you not invite me? And they're like, and both of them just kind of stop and look at me. One of them knows I'm being sarcastic, and she goes, "I didn't invite any guys." And I was like, "Are you kidding me? How dare you?" And at this point, they just know I'm full of shit. So we end that conversation and go on. And so I don't think too much on it. And I tell my wife, and you know, she laughs about it. And then I end up drinking a beer at the office because we have beer in our office. So shh. So I just have one beer, and it's like 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock. So
right.
There's not many people left, but their HR is left, right? So you know, and they know there's beer in the fridge. They just don't care as long as you don't really work on clients or go on client sites afterwards, which I wasn't, so I'm okay.
Yeah.
So I walk into HR's office with my beer. And I'm like, I open the door and I close it slowly behind me, and I already kind of have tears going down my face.
What?
And I go, "I need to file a complaint."
Oh my God.
And so and just to give everyone some kind of I guess backstory, I know one of the girls is cool, and then there's kind of like an intern who doesn't know me.
Okay.
And I go, "I need to file a complaint."
Lucky girl.
Yes, I know. And I need to file a complaint, and she gets this serious face. The intern gets a serious face. The other HR lady, she goes, "What?"
That sounds so familiar. Whenever you come on and say you have a good story, it's pretty much the same thing from all of us.
Exactly. Yeah. So funny. Asshole. So anyways, so she goes, "What?" And the other girl's face is like, "What?" And like he's crying. Like you could just see the confusion. And I go, and then so I get the HR person to play along. She goes, "Against who?" And I'm like, "The receptionist." And I'm being serious, and I still have a couple tears. And she goes, "Why?" Just these short answers. I go, "She didn't invite me to the firefighter chili cook-off on Friday because I'm a guy." At that point, the intern just goes, "Wait, what?" It just has this face of complete, like, an utter what the fuck is going on?
Like my career's over, all because this guy didn't get invited to a chili cook-off.
And then of course, both of them at that point just die laughing because they know I'm full of shit. And I was like, anyways, that's me at work fucking with HR because I have nothing better to do some days.
Oh, that's great.
Okay, so HR though, for the record, I worked in an HR department once. They're balanced, not all of them, but a lot of them are balancing on a knife's edge.
Yes.
Okay, like the HR lady that I worked for. This is years ago. Like, this is not me who came up with this. This is a separate auditor person who came in and to speak with the boss of the HR department that was the head of the HR. They asked me about her, and then they talked to other people about her and everything else. They're trying to figure out like, basically more about what she does and everything. And the assessment person came out of it, goes, we need to put her on suicide watch. And I'm like, oh my God. And yeah, I know it's messed up because she literally was like that stressed about her job at all times.
Yeah.
But the kicker was it was the least stressful job as far as I could tell because literally no one complained ever. It was like what you'd said, Bert, where it's like it was stuff like that. People would come in just like, hey, how's it going? Hey, well, it's Tuesday, whatever, But she was freaked out all the time.
God.
So like, I'm so glad to hear that your that like your HR department was a bit more normal than where I was.
I've seen departments like that where it's a little bit edge. And granted, the actual, I don't know what her title is, but the person who is over all of the U.S. has a stick up her ass. But everyone else in HR is phenomenal. Like her boss is awesome. Like, yeah.
That's cool. Oh yeah.
So it just depends on the people. Like my mom's in HR, my wife's dad was in HR. Like I've heard horror stories.
Oh, there's some bad ones.
It's a job that I would not want to do because you get to see fun people and you get to deal with them.
Yeah,
and but there are some just awful people, and that people are assholes. It's what it is, and they complain to HR.
And HR is the first line of defense for that, and then so that's why some of them go like a little like as like this lady who was like way overstressed, but it was just because like she's the one who like they made her as part of her job description is like be the one to let people go.
You just said they maced her. I was like,
no. They made her be the person to like let people go a lot. So like it was one of those deals where she was like kind of responsible for a lot of the stuff that maybe HR didn't normally have to do, but she was in charge of like basically telling people like, this is your last day, see you later.
Yeah.
She was not handling life well at that moment. But
so anyone else have any good HR stories? No. Okay. Well, I do. There was one time I was playing baseball and I hit a home run.
That's a good HR story. Nice.
Craig's face just now was hilarious.
So much fuck you in one little small snippet.
Play the end music. He wins the quiz. He wins everything. The podcast is over. Fastest podcast we've ever done. You all got dunked on.
Wow. That's insane.
Well
I knew you would appreciate that.
I was like, what? I hit a home run and I went, how is that? Oh,
that was brilliant.
The abbreviation for home run and stats is HR. I get it now. I should have been the first one to get that. I wasn't. I didn't connect those two. But in terms of segues, that is our segue into this week's topic. And we're not talking just purely sports because, one, it would be a lot of me talking for like 40 minutes and then giving a quiz where the three of you are like, shut the fuck up. And we didn't want that. So we decided
than any other week.
We're going to go with more about like the viewing aspect of sports, and the different fun things that you can do to watch sports and all those types of things. So I'll go with one thing to start everybody off. Lately, my viewing habits have quite a bit changed for sports. It used to be a thing where Bert can attest, dude. I would make him sit down and watch some Michigan football games.
I didn't know college football existed until I was Craig's fucking roommate. Let's be honest.
I was watching Michigan football games every Saturday morning as a part of holding on to my Northern heritage. while I was in the deep south of Tennessee, barely over in the South region. And so it was something that I used to sit there and watch all the time and whatnot. And I remember football Sunday, even when I moved back, Sunday was the day I did all of my homework for the entire week in college. Every single week, I would do literally all of my homework that entire day.
Yep.
And I would have football on in the background. So I'd always watch the Lions game and have it on in the background. It might not have been my main focus, but it was always there. And then I'd always turn over and probably at the time I would switch to either watching Tom Brady or Peyton Manning if one of them had a game at the time where I could watch. So it was basically the Colts or Patriots if I could find one of those two because I liked watching them play because they played well. Anyway, fast forward to now. My viewing habits have changed for football. So basically, my dad absolutely loves Michigan football still. Like, it is a huge thing. That is, out of all of the things that he has, that is the most apparel he has for any sport. It is Michigan football, not Michigan football. It has the words football on everything, right? And so there's a bar we found downtown that every Saturday they put up Michigan flags. You go there and start watching the game, and like whenever they score, they cut the audio from the game and literally just pump in at the loudest possible audio level of the fight song. Literally every single person there is yelling the fight song and singing along and everything. It's nuts comparatively to other places we've tried out. But my viewing habits have changed during this. I now had to go through and purchase a 20,000 milliamp battery so I could keep my phone alive long enough to make it through an entire football game. Because I'm at the bar and I'm like, I'm going to check Twitter and see what's going on now. And I would hang out in there to the point where on this past Saturday, I brought my iPad as well. I had my iPad up. I was watching the Red Wings game. I had my phone in front of that, watching the Tigers game. And then on, the bar, had the TVs up at the Michigan game. So I was like, well, whenever it's commercial for both the Tigers and the Red Wings, I'll watch the football game. I've got something to watch. So my viewing habits have changed drastically since I was a kid, and even probably, just under 10 years ago to today. Now I know there's one other person that their viewing habits on sports has changed in the last probably 10 years. But does anybody else have any stories? Anybody else got anything that has changed?
So, growing up in Texas, I probably should know a bunch of fight songs from Texas schools. Yeah, the only fight song I know is Michigan's. I'm not kidding. Like, that's just because I heard it so much in college. I don't know.
It was my dad's ringtone and his text tone. So yes, it played
true.
a lot.
Yeah. So, I don't know. My viewing habits, have they changed much? I don't know. I remember growing up, like I used to watch a lot of baseball, and just because it would be on, and we would watch the Astros all the time, and of course they were good, and I know they're good now, but I don't live in Houston, and I don't really care. Like, my sport right now is soccer, and like I have season tickets to the Rapids, and they're the last team in the league. Like, they're awful, but I still go because it's fun to go. But like,
I'm sorry, Brick, I thought you meant he was the last team in the league. I thought you meant like literally everyone else dropped out. They were like the last team in the league. I'm picturing like they're just like, yeah,
MLS, fuck soccer, yeah. But I mean, so like,
sorry.
So I have that, but dude, it's just that's about it. Like, I'll watch the only thing. I don't even watch the away games. I could care less. Like, the only like team I religiously watch is probably the men's national team for soccer, just because I love watching those guys play. Because and watching MLS compared to that, and compared to Premier League or the Spanish leagues, it's like watching kids football. Compared to the NFL. Like, that's what it is. Or watching the minor leagues for majors. So
yeah,
there you go. That's kind of where my viewing habits are. So it's changed, and I've gone through phases just like Craig, but like never to the extremes that Craig's gone through. So
gotcha. How about you, Michelle?
Mine haven't changed much. Pretty much my whole life they've been in the I don't watch a lot of sports range. In probably since I was probably 9 or 10 until I moved to New Jersey, I would watch Red Wings games fairly frequently. I especially if I was with my stepdad, I wouldn't really turn it on if I was by myself. And there was a few times I watched it like where Craig was like streaming it and we'd watch it, but I don't like sit there and really watch it by myself. And then since moving to Jersey, because A, I don't have cable, and B, like, you know, everyone here doesn't like the Red Wings. I haven't really watched much in the realm of sports, except for when I'm visiting home.
Gotcha.
I tend to just read articles, follow statistics, watch YouTube videos of, you know, really good or really bad plays, and kind of just keep up with like the Red Wings Twitter. I'll sit there and like read it to kind of see what's going on.
Like, I keep up with sports. I watch America's Funniest Home Videos, you know. That's cool though. And also, for the record, when you said Craig was streaming, you mean that Craig was telling you about it and streaming information out of his mouth, you know. Anyway, moving on. As far as myself is concerned, when I was a kid, I really didn't really watch sports very much growing up, but like, it really wasn't a big thing. I really liked Michael Jordan, so I would try to watch that when I was a kid. I watched a little bit of basketball. But I didn't really watch too much else. I would say that for me, the big thing, the big change is, especially with the Lions. I used to, especially during their bad years, I just didn't really have a whole lot of faith or passion for it. But it's because they were so bad for so long that I got addicted to it, like watching like a bad soap opera or like a bad like movie or something like that. Well, yeah, like kind of like it was basically like you're just like, man, how can they lose this week? And then you find yourself suddenly like, I care for these things, like what happened? Like somewhere along the line, it stopped being ironic. Like when you first started using the word, saying lol, everybody said lol ironically, and then now it's like actually a thing that people say. Same sort of thing with the Lions, where now I never miss a Lions game. I haven't missed a game in, what is it, 2-3 years now? 3 years at least, right? Sound right?
Yeah, it's been probably since we were living together-ish. Around there is kind of when it really started picking up, where you were watching every game.
At least. So yeah, but I will say at least 3 years. But I've never missed a game, and I've gone. I'm going again this year. That once again, this actually marks like the 4th year I think in a row that I've been to at least one game a season. And so am I like the world's greatest, like, oh my God, I'm in fantasy leagues and this and that in football? No, but I have one team that I follow and that I really care about, and it makes me feel like, feel kind of fun to be educated on it, because then I can talk intelligently about it with other people. And I'm like, hey, the Lions did this or this. They're like, yeah, well, my quarterback from this team and my this and that. I'm like, you lost me. I'm sorry. I don't follow all your other areas. and especially, going back to what Burke said about the college football. I got to be honest with you. I'd rather watch a high school football game than I would a college game. Like for me, it goes professional game for an NFL game, then a high school game, then a college game. That's the order in which I would rather watch those things, because basically a professional game is a game of professionals. They are the top of their field. They are the best of the best competing against the best of the best. In high school, no one knows what the hell they're doing. It's chickens with their heads cut off, and they're running around in circles, which is it's borderline adorable, right?
In the area where you would be able to watch football games.
Yes.
I do want to
make sure that's down here.
That's out there.
Important distinction.
Well, in Texas,
it's a little bit different. Where Texas has like 50,000. Like high schools have 50,000 seat stadiums for their
not
games.
Like that. Now where we're at,
a lot different.
But then
it's like 3 people gather around an open cow field.
Yeah, no,
like, hey,
exactly, exactly, and exactly. This is great. But and I think it's fun, it's cute, adorable, and whatever. It's no big deal. But I genuinely get frustrated watching a college football game. Like that, it's sitting through those is so unbelievably hard for me.
See, I actually prefer college football over the NFL.
I do too.
Why? Okay, no. This is a genuine question. I want to know, why do you guys like them? Because I know why I don't, and I want to hear why you like them, and then I'll say why I don't.
I guess I kind of view it sort of the same way you do, but in a different light, where I see them as they are still learning. They've just gotten out of that, high school phase, and, some of them may be aiming for the NFL, and they're learning how to make that transition. And I think it's more interesting to watch. I get more frustrated watching the NFL when people do stupid things, because it's like, you should fucking know better.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm with you.
I honestly couldn't tell you a good reason. Probably just because a lot of the rules, it seems like there's not as many fouls and penalties in college. That's just could be my opinion. It seems like there's less stoppage, and there probably isn't, but it's probably my opinion. And
no, I feel that way too.
I kind of like that there's not as much, or let's call it showboating, because they're not all cocky assholes hyped up on steroids and shit.
Yeah.
That's
right.
Yeah.
Right, and so I'd rather see the cocky assholes all hyped up on steroids, because then they're fighting other cocky assholes who are hyped up on steroids. But I guess for me, the problem with colleges is that they're not quite good enough, for all of them to be pros, and they're not all bad enough for them to be in high school. So it is that awkward middle stage that I don't care for that, because you have there'll be 4 or 5 names that everybody will talk about all season, and for college football, they'll be like,
yeah,
dude, this guy, he blows out the competition. Well, yeah, because he's 6'9" and clearly going to the pros. It'd be the equivalent of if I had a tank and you had a tricycle and I'm beating you, and I'm like, oh man, aren't I so good at this game? It's like, no, you have a tank. I hate the fact that it's such a there's no defense, there's no elegance to it. I guess it's just kind of a slugfest in the weirdest way. So I don't know. That's just me.
I would disagree in that sense. It sounds like basically, Brian, what you're liking is there's more consistency in the NFL game, which is funny when usually the games that you like playing and different things like that, you kind of like the chaos and where you don't really know who's going to win. But in the NFL, it's very much no, it's kind of set who's going to win. Mm-hmm. And that's not the reason I like or dislike. I'm just saying that way. I just like I like the rules in college better. More on the different ways that penalties are handed out. It's a little bit more strategic in terms of like a pass interference. I know I'm probably going deeper than a lot of people want to hear it. Pass interference in the NFL, it's a spot of the foul type thing. So you can end up getting up 94-yard foul or penalty technically, where in college football, there is a strategy to committing a foul, because not committing the foul would have actually made it worse for you type thing. And just there's not as there is technically not as many stoppages for me, so it feels like the game flows a little bit more. That's just on a viewing aspect of it. But I it's really not all that. It's not flip a coin, but it's pretty close to where neither one of them really takes that much of a step above. But if you had to sit down, you're you could only watch one for the rest of your life, I'd end up probably picking college. It starts earlier in the year and then ends earlier in the year as well.
Gotcha.
I like that aspect
and
too.
I promise you, I don't want to hype on this or stay stuck on this one topic. We can talk about other things too, but I just want to mention one other little thing that's been, or that I wanted to point out, and that it bugs me, I guess. College football, I don't feel it doesn't deserve the hype that the pro circuit gets, and that's part of my other frustration with it. It's for me, it's the equivalent of putting a camera on a bunch of high schoolers, in a sense, because they're in school. So you have entire networks and brackets and all this stuff and all this hype and all this gear and everything else toward these colleges. But effectively, you're rooting for your child. To me, in my head, it's so similar to high school in the sense that it's just a bunch of kids in school playing the game. Unless they're being professionals and getting paid to do it, they shouldn't have the eye of the country on them, essentially. And that kind of bugs me that they get the same level of hype behind it and same coverages and same whatever's. That bugs me.
The only reason that is just because beforehand NFL games, we're talking before 5 billion channel networks on your TV, you had to pick something to watch. And people in this area didn't have, I live in Tennessee, for a long time they did not literally have an NFL team around them. They still don't have a baseball team. The nearest baseball team is 5 hours away. So you kind of had to just like pick a random football team or a random baseball team in that era, or they had to pick a random NFL team to do, or there's this stadium with 60,000 people right down the road I could go and watch. And so that's your little local thing. Like I'm gonna go to my, like, I think to them that kind of was the local, like NFL or not NFL, like high school team in a sense, but like more people went there. And so, and you had the added thing where a lot of people have this like school pride.
Sure.
Like that's where I went to school, because it's not most schools probably way back in the day, they're not this national thing. People are coming from all over to necessarily go to a lot of the schools. Not obviously there are some, but for a majority of schools, it's just a local thing. Like everybody that went to this school kind of lived within 100 miles of this place. So you all went there, and then all of y'all want to go through here and play some football. And now we're going to go cheer for this team out here over here in the stadium. Like, I think that's just more of where it came from. And then it stayed culturally that way. Comparatively now, if they created a new sport and it like ran across the country, nowadays, I think everybody would love the professionals, and they'd still like watching the college version of it. But
I got you.
Jumping off the NFL versus college.
Yeah, sorry. I didn't mean to get stuck on it that long.
What are the types of like viewing parties, I'll call them? What are like your ideal ways, if you're going to go through and watch a sporting event, what are the ideal ways for you to sit down and watch it? Like
drunk.
That's a way to describe it. I'm talking location, with people, drinking certain beverages. Like what would be everybody's ideal? Like this is when you absolutely love doing it. What's your ideal?
So it's funny. And I'm sure everyone feels like this. I much prefer to watch things live, but I never do. Simply just because lack of time, money, whatever. Because sporting events are very expensive to attend, as all of us know.
Yes.
Unless you sit in the shittiest seats available, and but if I was, at, I guess, home or somebody else's house, like not at the event itself.
Let's actually leave it to that. You're not actually in stadium or arena,
so
like other ways to watch
mine would be I just like chilling with my stepdad with some Corona and lime, and we both just drink those and watch whatever game is on. I actually don't like the big production parties, because then I'm like, it's like, oh, we're gonna gather for the Super Bowl, and then no one's gonna actually watch the Super Bowl. And then my thing is like, it's like, okay, if you're gonna make an event out of it, like pay the fuck attention.
I didn't know if that would end up being like somebody's, that's what I like doing, is going to these massive parties where I don't have to pay attention.
Well, I mean, it depends.
Yes.
No, go ahead, Burke, please.
That's kind of where I sit, especially when the Super Bowl. Like, I don't care. Like, I'll watch it, and I know enough about football to understand what's going on the basic level. But like, going to a Super Bowl party is like, I go every year, or have something low key at my house and stream it or something when that became available. And it's
okay, but if it was something. Like if you were trying to actually enjoy yourself, there's not like a sport like the U.S. men's national team or something like that you'd like to have people over, like that would be a fun event. Like what would be your ideal event to watch?
For me, I would literally just much rather be on my couch or like watching with either just my wife and maybe 2 or 3 other people, like not many people, like very low key, like someone who can get into it. Like, yeah,
I was assuming we meant things where we genuinely wanted to watch the game, and that's my thing too. It's like a low key, very small, like people who are actually into it.
Like going back to like, let's go with even college, or just sitting here when we would both like pull up MLB TV and watch the same game. Like, I give 0 shits about the Tigers. Like, I don't care. Like, but you're sitting there enjoying it. Like, I understand baseball more so than I do football. I absolutely love, like, I'll just get high as shit or drunk or whatever and just watch the game. And like, us going back and forth and talking, Craig, is just, that's entertaining. Because like, holy shit, did you see that? Like, it's like, you're obviously halfway across the country. We're not together, but we're still watching the sport together. And for me, that's a lot of fun. Like, very just kind of low-key shit. But at least one of us is passionate. Like, I can get into it and become passionate because other people are passionate. But am I going to go watch any sort of event with a bunch of group of people and get passionate, probably not. But like, being in a small environment, I'll get passionate for whoever the fuck you're rooting for, because I have no vested interest. But because you do, I'm going to vote for Michigan this week. And next week, if I'm sitting with my buddy Ben, I'm rooting for Ohio because they're both gung ho. Like, and I have absolutely no qualms about that because I could care less. Unless they're playing each other, then I'm just confused as shit.
You're sitting in the middle of the couch. I'm on one side, Ben's on the other. You're like, I don't know what to do. You got one of those split jerseys or split
That's
shirts.
what I do during Michigan State, because I have no stake in that fight. I wear a Michigan t-shirt and a Michigan State sweatshirt over it, so I can either zip it up or zip it down depending on who's winning at the moment. I did that. I kid you not. I've done that past couple of years.
I did that. I did that earlier this year. I went to the when Houston Dynamo played the Rapids here at the stadium. Of course, I have season tickets in a supporter section. So for Colorado Rapids, yeah, I had my Dynamo jersey underneath it just in case the game went bad, and I was going to go sit in their section.
Nice. Oh man. So I guess all right. So if the game that I want to watch, and there are going to be people involved in it, like my ideal sports, I'll use the Lions in the one I want to watch. I just like sitting in my basement on the couch drinking Oktoberfest, St. Adam's Oktoberfest with my dad, watching the Lions. Like, that's fine with me. Like, I don't need it to be a huge production. But if it's going to be something that I don't want to watch, I do want it to be a big group. And I'd rather it be like at somebody's house, not my own. I don't want to host the party. I don't. Like, especially if it's for a game I don't care about. But the point is that, like, I'll go over there and I will, like, eat a lot of chips and guac and drink Oktoberfest, and even if it is like a Michigan game or something like that, if I'm sitting there and I'm drinking and people are all sitting there talking about what the whatevers, I can enjoy that without watching the game. But I don't want to be quote unquote responsible for the party, if that makes any sense, because then that's just that sucks all the fun out of the room for me. But I did want to mention one little thing, Craig. You said that you had a Michigan bar that you went to. That I went to one of those in New York as well. And those things are really tight. So I did that for the Lions games when I was there for that 7 months, whatever. So yeah, I'm all about that stuff. How about you?
Because clearly going to the event with a bunch of 20 to 50,000 like-minded individuals for the most part, that's awesome. But if I had to actually choose, my ideal would end up being going to a bar or a place where I can sit down and eat, whatnot, get some Wi-Fi, get cell phone signal and whatnot. That's still important. Even if it's a game, it could be game 7 of the World Series. I'm still going to want that because I'd be wanting to keep up with people on Twitter that I follow that I think are funny and that will have not like, oh, they're super smart about the sport, but they just have like the good one-liners. You're like, like being able to go through and look at that. But it would be at a bar where everybody's like-minded. And this is the few times that I want an echo chamber for my own thoughts. Is I want a team. Everybody's supporting the team that I'm yelling for, and it's at this thing, and everybody's just like gung ho to the point where, kind of like I said earlier, where they're blaring through. If I was like a massive Michigan fan where I loved watching Michigan football, this would be like, this is literally the ideal thing. But for me, it would end up being like with the Red Wings or the Tigers and stuff like that. That'd be really cool. And my dad would have to be there, though. I might be able to have like other people there, but like my dad has to be there. Him and he's the guy that we bounce ideas off of each other all the time. I'm always looking into like the deeper, like trying to find statistical things on this and sabermetrics for baseball, and hockey's got the same thing. And I'm talking about like messing all this stuff up. And he's just the one tolerating me coming up with all this new school nerdy numbers crap that goes into all these new sports. And he's the steady head that, he's traditional. I like my football the way it was beforehand. I like my hockey the way it was beforehand type guy. I'm like, no, you got to. So we have this banter back and forth where we argue over like newer stuff that's coming out. But then when it comes down to it, him and I are the ones, we're both standing up like out of our chairs when someone, like, it's obviously when it's more something not like a basketball, but like in a hockey or baseball, where scoring, or football, scoring is limited, and where it's a premium to get points. Like, you're jumping out of your chair, everybody, you're high-fiving people, you have no idea who the fuck their name is and whatnot. Like that's the best environment for me. Like I really enjoy that, where it's just like things get super loud because everybody's just as equally excited as you are. Like I absolutely love that portion of things.
So it's kind of going along that, like, what in that kind of ideal scenario, or maybe not even ideal, what's the best, I guess, kind of thing you've ever had when, like, at a viewing party, not at the stadium or something like that? Do you have like a event that stands out? Or I mean, it can be at the stadium if you can't think of anything.
I do.
Well, shoot. Yeah, sorry, Michelle. Go ahead. Yes, please go ahead. I'm trying. I gotta look this thing up.
So, my stepdad is very intense when watching sports. You know, constantly yelling at the TV, blah blah blah. And his brother, my uncle, is about 1,000,000 times worse. And he, honest to God, he is the type that, like, he is screaming so loud, like he is losing his breath. His face is literally turning purple, and sometimes he throws up because he's shit. Like, he gives himself migraines because he's yelling so much and so powerfully that, like, so I don't remember what year it was. I'm gonna guess about 2000, 2001. And we were at his house watching a Red Wings game, and I mean, he was freaking out, like puked a couple times, like still screaming at the game, and then the game went into triple overtime.
Oh my God.
Then, like, what?
No. I'm saying, oh my God, as in, like this guy's gonna die.
No,
like,
Craig just like made a face, so I thought he had like.
No, I think I know the game.
Okay, I believe they ended up winning, but the thing was, it was like, I don't know, probably almost 2 a.m. and we were all just so over it that we didn't even care if they won anymore. But I mean, like, it was just so intense that whole time, just watching him and being like, holy shit, I can't believe somebody's so into sports that they've made themselves throw up yelling.
No, I'm almost positive, because there's not too many triple overtime games for Red Wings. And there was one against the Blues, because it's got to be the playoffs. That's the only time you go into extra overtime.
Yeah, it was definitely a playoff game.
Yeah, that's the only time it can happen, and so it's very rare. I mean, obviously, the Wings were in the playoffs for like 30 years straight because of their best fucking team ever. So, I mean, there's that. But you've got one game where it went into triple overtime, and like 3 minutes into it, Yzerman hit a slap shot from like basically center ice.
Yes,
and
this is the
St.
game.
The St. Louis goalie like wasn't thinking it was coming at him. He was like, whoop. He was like, what the fuck just happened?
But like, and it was funny because it was such a great ending, but literally nobody cared because it was 17 hours into this game. Like,
that's awesome.
I really don't have, like, literally the best one I've had, the one I can think of so far, where it was a viewing party when I was out watching a game, obviously not at the stadium, because usually I'm out at a stadium watching the game for viewing parties. That's where a lot of my good memories go. And all the other times I'm usually at home watching. There's not too many out to bar type situations or out to a different thing. There was one, though, that was pretty cool. And this has nothing to do with the actual sport. During the Super Bowl, whatever year it was where the power went out for a while.
Yes, that was like 2 years.
And everybody was,
was it New Orleans?
Yes,
it was like 3 or 4 years ago. It was whenever iOS 7 came out.
Was that the year of Left Shark and Katy Perry?
And the reason I know it was the year that iOS 7 came out, just like 3 or 4 months previous, is because they released a jailbreak right during the game. They tweeted it out, and I literally went through. I was like, Tyler, I was at my buddy Tyler's house. I was like, Tyler, I need your laptop. And immediately started downloading the jailbreak and jailbreaking my phone at my buddy's house. Awesome. That's literally pretty much like the greatest moment I can think of while at a viewing party, because usually the viewing parties, it doesn't go well for my team.
Yeah.
Okay, so viewing party, I'd say the one of the, and I say the best one because I had no dog in the fight. Do you remember a few years back the Michigan State game? This is one of the ones I had the zip up on, of course. I was there watching it, and this was where the botched snap from U of M. And it comes loose, and like, you know, obviously there's the famous announcer moment where they go, "Oh, trouble with the snap!" and it comes loose, and it literally just goes, flops around into the end zone, and State picks it up and wins the game at like the last second. It was this huge moment, right? As far as that was concerned, and half of the party goes nuts because they were State people, and the other half, the Michigan people, who up until that moment were being awfully cocky, like are all of a sudden like slapped in the face by this moment in time, right? One of them gets so pissed off, he stands up, he turns to his wife, he goes, "We're going home." And they just so him.
Do I have a good guess who this person is? Does he also have a nickname that's an animal?
Yes. But the point, no, actually, no, it's a different one. Him and his little baby. He only had one baby at the time. I think he has two now. But point is, him and his wife and his baby literally stand up, and he's like, "Get in the car, we're going home," and he just leaves.
My God.
And like so, and we're all sitting there going, "Oh God, like we're never gonna see them again." Like he's gonna drive them off a bridge or something. Like he was like, it was insane. The whole the party came to a screeching halt. Like it was crazy. So that was pretty epic.
And see, that's the funny thing is that is one of those moments where it's on one of the worst moments at a viewing party. And if we weren't even at a viewing party, Dad and I were just at a restaurant here. It was my first Michigan State game when I was in Tennessee. So it was only a couple years ago. And it was, we went there and we're like, yeah, because there is this huge history there where for a while, because even at the time, and I won't go too much into it, even at the time, Michigan fans were probably cocky beforehand. I never was a part of the cockiness that I think. And then all of a sudden, Michigan State started going through a run where they were winning a bunch of the games. I was a part of the bad.
I'm not saying you were the worst. I'm not saying you were the worst.
When did we discuss football at that point?
Like years ago. But this is years and years and years ago. Do you want me to go through that and tell you right?
Some small part of it, yeah.
Good example. Back when you were still living, I remember you had gotten the new whatever the football game is for that
NCAA,
one, yeah.
Whatever.
And I picked Michigan State, and then you spent like 45 minutes lecturing me on like how shitty State was,
God.
and I was beating you at the half, so you turned the game off. Remember that? That was the only time you ever. That is the only time when you and I ever played a game that you rage quit, and I remember it to this day because it was so out of character for you. You were just like, you powered the Xbox right down. You were so pissed off. I was like, oh shit, like
yeah.
Well, that was at the beginning portion of when Michigan State started going on their run, and like I'm talking before then when it was like 1996
no, I wouldn't have known
to
that.
2002 2003ish when Michigan had the complete stranglehold over, and like I never even considered it a rivalry at that point. Like, so I was like, oh yeah, well whatever, like I'm assuming we're gonna win because
they were like the Appalachian State,
we're number one in that we're yeah, basically, but it's like we're number one in the country and you guys aren't ranked. Like, hey, Brian, who's going to win? A level 4 Bulbasaur or a level 100 Mewtwo? Like, I'm not trying to be mean, but it's just they're in two different classes type thing. Like, that's how I looked at it as a child. Like, I looked at it objectively, where I went, like, this isn't mean. Like, it's just they're going to end up winning because 1-6 and we're 7-0. Like, I don't understand how there's a thing. Anyway, obviously, I didn't understand the sports thing at that time. But yeah, there was this whole thing where then all of a sudden during the time right before that event, Brian's talking about the fumble, where Michigan State fans seemingly came out of the woodworks beforehand when nobody would talk about it. And then everybody's shitting completely on Michigan. I was like, where in the hell did this hate come from? Like, I always rooted for Michigan State to win whenever they weren't playing Michigan. I was like, yeah, fucking go Sparty. Yeah, Sparty up, whatever they say. And then all of a sudden it was like, fuck you, I hope your children go to hell. Fuck you, you Michigan fan. I was like, what the blue shit just happened?
That's funny.
Like, I reserve that type of hate for, like, the Yankees.
All those teams from the North?
But it was just, like, completely, like, it was deflating because Dad and I were like, finally, we get some retribution where we're going to win. We were just at the bar, and obviously, like, we'd be like, if somebody scored, be like, yeah, we'd clap a little bit, high five each other. We weren't like going over and flipping off the people at the bar that were Michigan State fans and whatnot. And it was like they did that. The full fumble happened. They scored the touchdown. They won on the last second play when literally all Michigan had to do was punt the ball, and they would have won. and Michigan State ends up winning. And it was like literally like Michigan State people were coming up and doing this with their shirts in front of Dad and I. Were like, what the blue shit? We literally didn't say a word. I'm still eating my wings. And they're like getting all pissy and coming up to us. And like to the point where my dad was like, I'm thinking about talking to someone, like going to a manager, because they were coming up and like not harassing. They didn't touch and they didn't like directly yell at us, but they were coming up to us because Dad and I were at the bar and everybody else was at tables. They're leaving their tables, coming up to us and shaking their shirts like this far from our faces. We're like, what the blue shit is wrong?
Wow.
We didn't say a word. Anyway, it was like one of those top 5 things where I was like, okay, now I'm pissed. And that's the moment when I switched over. I was like, yeah, I hope Michigan State loses every fucking game they ever play again, ever. For anything. Doesn't matter. I'm completely out of it. I'm completely done. But before I get more angry, I think we need to move on to the quiz.
Yeah.
Like, because otherwise I'm going to start rage quitting this podcast. I know that's probably a good thing for the rest of you guys and all of our viewers and listeners at home. But I think we should move on to the quiz. So what this quiz is, there's a lot of information that I got from like 3 different studies. One of them is a studies brought together at the end of it, but it's basically 3 different studies. And so the first one we're going for is the popularity of the sports around the world. This is where I brought information, and I did it on 13 different, what do you call it? Different ways to rank them, or whatever you want to say. I can't think of the words I'm wanting to go. 13 different things. So you're talking like global audience, TV viewership numbers, money that they make, you know, how much money their TV deals are. And like it goes through and adds that all up into a number and ranks the teams or ranks the sports. So to start off with all of that, they consider everything that's combined with that, like the popularity of the sport, right? So based on all these factors, what is the number 1 sport in the world?
Soccer/football.
Same. Soccer.
You were all correct. It is soccer. And for the sake of this quiz, I'm not going to use the term that either side likes. I'm going to use soccer, and I'm going to use American tackle football.
Yeah, okay.
So neither one of them is just football. It's soccer and American tackle football.
Okay.
So I've got number 2 here is going to be 4 different questions here. And it's going to be based on the rank. So out of the 4 major American sports, the traditional American sports, we've got baseball, basketball, American tackle football, and ice hockey. Those are the 4 traditional major American sports. Go through real quick and rank them for me in number by popularity. This is still on the global audience. Where do they rank in terms of those 4 sports? How do they rank against each other out of the global audience?
Let's go with baseball, hockey, basketball, football.
Baseball, basketball, hockey, and then football.
Baseball, basketball, hockey, football.
So all of you ended up getting 1 point, but Michelle got 2 points on that. The ranking goes: basketball is the number 2 sport in the world.
Okay.
Number 2 sport in the world. After that is ice hockey, is the number 9 sport in the world. Baseball is the number 11 sport in the world. And
Really?
American tackle football is the number 13 sport in the world.
Huh. Who'd have thunk?
Okay. And so I wanted to get this out there to make sure anybody that's not listening in the United States, the 4 major American sports that we're just talking about, the top league in each of those sports, what are the names of them?
National Football League, the Major League Baseball, the National Hockey League, and National Basketball Association.
I wouldn't change a thing from what she said.
Ditto.
So that's 4 points for each of you on that. Out of those 4 sports, which league has the most monetary value?
I am going to say Major League Baseball.
I'm going to say it's the NFL.
I'm going to go with the baseball.
It is the National Football League by a goddamn landslide.
I figured, but then I was like, there's so much in baseball that I was like, maybe it would edge it out in pure
Football has like 800 players per team, like it's jersey sales alone.
Well, and there's another thing that really hurts. There's another thing that really hurts baseball in that respect as well, which is our next question.
Ooh.
Out of those 4, although the league as a whole, the Major League Baseball is valued under. I'll give you the numbers. The NFL is worth $77 billion. I'm rounding up for every one of them, regardless of how close it is. $77 billion for the NFL. The MLB is $47 billion. The NBA is $40 billion. And the NHL is $16 billion.
Wow.
Even though the Major League Baseball is valued just under $50 billion, not every team makes a profit in Major League Baseball. Some of them literally will go through and they will be in the red as a whole for the company. How many teams had operating losses in 2016? Is it 2, 3, 4, or 5?
4.
And I'll say 3.
I'm going to go with 4.
It is 4 teams.
Damn.
We're in that. And the reason I don't give you the information right away is which team had the biggest operating loss of $40 million. You guys should all know the team.
I'll jump in and say the Tigers.
Yeah, I guess the Tigers. That's not what I was going to say, but...
Let's go with the Yankees, even though I know that's not right.
It is the Detroit Tigers.
Yeah.
Owner Mike Ilitch was trying to put so much money into the team for a championship win that for the past probably 10 years, he's been taking $40 to $50 million hits to his personal bank account. What was the sporting event that was the most watched sporting event of all time?
Super Bowl 50.
The Miracle on Ice Olympic game thing.
I'm going to go with the 2014 World Cup.
It was the 2008 Olympics. It averaged for each event 593 million viewers for each event.
Holy shit.
And over the course, so it won on that part and it won for total as well. Over 5 billion different tune-ins for the event. Obviously, those numbers are probably inflated for multi-TV households and shit like that, or bars, whatever. But over 5 billion people tuned in based on normal TV ratings.
Where was the location of that one?
Were those the ones that were in Beijing?
Yeah, it's Beijing. What is the most watched American single broadcast sporting event of all time?
Super Bowl 50. I'm sticking with my answer.
No, it was a Super Bowl, but it was specifically the one from the year 2000 where the Broncos faced off against the Atlanta Falcons.
Super Bowl 48.
Okay. You guys hit on both sides of it. It was Super Bowl 49.
Damn it.
Fuck.
A lot of people watch Super Bowl 49, or a lot of people watch the Super Bowl, but don't actually pay attention to the game because there's a lot of great commercials and a lot of people love the halftime show. Who performed at the halftime show of Super Bowl 49?
Katy Perry, and it was Left Shark again. I'm just going with that.
Actually, I might be wrong, but I'm going to say that's the year The Who performed.
I'm going to go with that shark guy who played behind Katy Perry.
It was Katy Perry.
We know our shit, Brian.
Left Shark for the win.
And the bonus question for that was, what meme was generated during the halftime show of Super Bowl 49?
There it is, locked down.
I'm going to give all 3 of you guys the points because you've said it multiple times now.
It's all right.
Aww.
It's time to discuss the rest of the breaks from the action during sports. And the study that I found used multiple things from StatCast, TrackMan, all these different things that track player movement, and different studies from the Wall Street Journal to bring all this stuff together to bring this one report. So what we're going to do is we're finding the average amount of time that a typical sport is in action and where they stand against each other. So in hours and minutes, how long is the real world time for an NFL game?
2 hours and 20 minutes.
3 hours and 45 minutes.
The game that starts at 12 o'clock is going to end at 3:10.
Burke gets it right on the nail. It is 3 hours and 10 minutes.
You son of a bitch.
What is the same thing for the average MLB game?
2 hours.
An hour and 45.
2 hours and 40 minutes.
Burke is only 16 minutes off.
Hot damn.
Is
he cheating?
It's 2 hours and 56 minutes.
I was going to say 46, actually.
What is the real world time for an NHL game?
1 hour and 40 minutes.
An hour and 15 minutes.
2 hours.
2 hours. Okay, and Burke wins that point as well with he was only 20 minutes off. It is 2 hours and 20 minutes. And what about the NBA?
90 minutes.
An hour and 45.
Hour and 31 minutes.
And Brian gets that one. He's
Yay!
only 33 minutes off.
Takes longer to park usually than it does to watch those games.
All right, and then the only stats I could find for something on soccer was the European leagues. They're professional European leagues. So this technically isn't a worldwide thing. This is the only stat I could find. So what about soccer?
2 hours and 15 minutes.
Hour and 20 exactly.
Hour and 15.
And Michelle gets it with only being 20 minutes over. Selfish time it's going to take you to watch a game. So now they have a thing called the action time. So for football, it's from snap until the play is over. Mm-hmm. And for baseball, it's from the time the pitcher starts his windup till the play is dead. It does not count any time that the pitcher's sitting there staring and waiting for the runner or anything like that. Like, it's just literally from the time he throws it till the time they're like, okay, we got to get it back to the pitcher to continue the game. Obviously, the NHL, NBA, they have time. They actually have timers on themselves. And then the European League for soccer, also, they have a timer as well. So what's the average action time for the NFL?
1 hour.
50 minutes.
15 minutes, Bob.
The answer is 11 minutes of action.
What?
It is 6%.
Fuck American tackle football. Right there. 3 hours of fucking action for goddamn 11 minutes of bullshit.
11 minutes.
You know what? Let's look at the crowd. Let's look at the cheerleaders. Oh, here's the coach. Wait, here's the same fucking play again.
Obviously,
over.
This is not counting pre-snap. Okay. So that from the time that they're in the huddle till they go up to pre-snap. So if they take all the time in the world to go to pre-snap, it doesn't count any of that. The same way baseball doesn't count runners on base.
Once the ball is snapped in motion.
And then the whistle is blown because the play is now over.
So it's just an addition of all those little 6-second periods where stuff's happening.
Yeah, so you're going 6 seconds for a play, 6 seconds for a play. It is 11 minutes of action.
Explosive 6 seconds out of whack, though, I'll tell you.
For Major League Baseball, what is the average action time per game?
31 minutes.
Way too long. We'll say 21.
Every time Brian makes a snarky comment about baseball, you should subtract 5 points.
I'm going to go 35.
35. Baseball is not that much better. It is 18 minutes worth of game time. So it is 11%. So Brian gets the point on that one as he was only 3 minutes off. All right. Same thing for the NHL. How much time is in the game? Action time. Whistle to whistle.
60 minutes.
I'm going to say it's 35.
30.
Okay. It is 60 because there is a timer. You have to be playing throughout the 60 minutes. When the whistle blows and the puck's dropped, you are playing the game. So it is a straight 60 minutes. NBA, same thing.
Shit. What's regulation time for the NBA? 60 minutes.
Isn't it 15-minute quarters? Maybe? So, yeah, an hour.
48 minutes?
48. It is 12-minute quarters. So Bert gets the point on that one. And then for the last question of this quiz, European soccer, professional league soccer, what is the average action time from the time that they have the kickoff to the time that the whistle is blown for dead time?
80 minutes.
Okay.
However long you said that it took.
Give me a number.
Okay. I don't remember what you said. An hour.
Okay.
Let's go with 50 minutes.
50 minutes. Brian gets it. He was 3 off. It is 57 minutes worth of action, or 50% of the time there is actual play going on. Basketball was 34% of the time, NHL 43, again, baseball 11, and American tackle football in the NFL is 6% of the time there's something actually happening.
And you wonder why. The boring
I was going to go into, but while I was already up to 26 questions, it goes into like how much time is allotted for commercials. You don't want to know that for American football. It's like 75% of the time. And it's just commercial time, not like, and this play sponsored by Budweiser and it comes on the side of the screen. Yeah. Not even counting that. Like those don't count. It's like the times that they completely break.
Hey, I am the first to admit there are a lot of commercials in it, but my God, it's fun to watch.
And that's why I was trying to avoid that. That was one of my major reasons why I don't like watching the NFL. Yeah. I'll touch back on that, is because it's just like the whole time I'm like, I'm just getting ads crammed down my throat right now. And it really bothers. There's not as much during college football because there's not as many breaks or stops and they, camera away and go elsewhere. So,
yeah.
All right. The end of that brings us to the number of questions answered correctly.
Woohoo!
This is very close. And our second runner-up is Michelle. 12.
None of this
12
horse shit
points.
again. We did this the other
points.
week.
Dan,
love
Wait,
being second
we gotta
runner-up.
know. No, this is you answer it. The second runner up is American football or soccer. So that's how we're gonna say this, and I think we'll know who wins.
Okay. For first runner up is Brian with 13 points.
Yeah,
Meaning Bert comes away with this quiz with 14 points.
go real football.
I don't care about the naming convention. That don't bother me. Don't sit before don't have any action. We have more concussions than any other sport.
Oh, that's awesome.
man. Oh god dang it. Well,
Actually,
what, that we have more that we
Sure,
have
about
more concussions?
more concussions in the NFL.
Then what?
Doesn't the NHL have quite a few concussions?
Yeah, but probably not as many as not as many as American football. You literally come out of the locker room and you get a head injury. Like it's
I'm looking it up.
like I got to be honest with you. That's one of the reasons this game is so much fun to watch. Is that you're like, and one of the reasons why, as somebody who's played it before, although albeit at the high school level, I look back and go, God, I was stupid for playing this sport, but my God, I love watching it. It's so unbelievably dangerous. Okay, Burke, soccer concussion rate. What are we looking at?
Not much.
Well, are you talking about people that go down that they're trying to cushion?
Yeah, I know.
Because that's probably pretty high.
Pretty good performance rating on that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The best actors are in soccer.